You are now about to hear the story of Isaac Newton as told by a bunch of kids' toys. Isaac Newton was born on Christmas Day, 1642. He was so small that he could fit in a quart pot. Oh dear, I just don't know what I'm going to do now. I just have you and I, and oh my, we must find somebody to take care of us. I don't like this son of yours. He's not very well-tempered. Which was true. By this time, growing for 3 years without a father had left Isaac with some issues. But he is my son, and I love him. I suppose we'll have to figure out something. Yes, indeed. You shall leave him to send with his grandparents, or I will not marry you, and then you will not have a husband. Rah. Nice. Young Isaac, I see that you have quite a skill for mathematics and such. We shall send you off to school. Yes, I think that's a great idea. So, class, today we're going to learn some math. Sounds really good. Yes, I love math. Whatever. Hey guys. What's up? Isaac is so stupid. Yeah, look at his stupid hair. Yeah, I think that we should be mean to him. Hey Isaac, your hair looks particularly stupid today. You know what? I'm not going to take this anymore. Let's rumble. Oh, kick. Oh, pow. Bam. Oh. Victory is mine, he said. That's not really what he said, actually. Not only have I won the battle of the brawn, I shall also win the battle of the mind, and I will be the smartest kid in school. What part of speech is pineapple? A noun. What is the square root of 25? 5. But you see, Isaac was never particularly liked by his classmates. He was the top student in his class. He was the guy that beat up the bully, but he never really had any friends. He was all alone. Young Isaac, it's time for you to come home and manage the family farm. You've had enough of this playing around at boarding school and this knowledge and all of that such. You need to come home now. But I don't want to go home, Mommy. I don't like home. I don't like stepfather. And I don't like my brothers. That is of no matter to me, Isaac. It is time for you to come home. Often, his younger brothers, who annoyed him quite readily, would get into fights with him, and they would quarrel. And his mother and father, or stepfather, I should say, did not like that very much. Hey, Isaac! Your hair's stupid! Yeah, Isaac! Stop reading that stupid book! Oh, what are you going to do about it, Isaac? What are you going to do? I'm going to kill you! Rah, rah, oh! I hate you! He spent large amounts of time absorbed in thought, reading, doing schoolwork, trying to do the things he loved. Moo, ba, moo, 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 moo. But all of the cows got out, and they started wreaking havoc on the neighborhood. The cows even went and destroyed the neighbors' fences and yards. Moo! 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 In those days, letting your cattle get out and destroy other people's property was a pretty big stinking deal. Young Isaac Newton? Yes? You are under arrest. Come with me, boy. Boy, you are so ungrateful. Why can't you just do what you're supposed to do in life? Yes, Isaac, I don't understand why you just won't be a nice boy. Mrs. Newton, or Smith, I guess that's what your name is these days. We would really like to have Isaac come back to school. He has the most marvelous mind I've ever seen, and I think it is being wasted at your farm. Well, I suppose, if you're not going to be helpful here, how would you like to go back to school, Isaac? Of course I would love to go back to school. I hate you, and I hate this place, and I hate my brothers, and I hate cows, and I want to go and be a mathematician and a scientist at Cambridge University. Oh, kind sir, please take my jacket. Oh yes, thank you for taking my jacket. And Isaac worked harder than everybody around him because he had a job and he was still the top student, but he was determined to prove himself to be the best scientist at Cambridge. Aristotle is the best in the world. He knows everything. All things about the world should be about Aristotle, who was super freaking smart. Not trying to take anything away from him. But, sir, have you thought about the newer people that have contributed to our knowledge? How about Descartes, Galileo, and all of the men who are doing great thinking right now? They're not on our university list, Isaac. You need to learn what it is to be a scientist before you can start thinking about new things. But Isaac did not agree. Isaac, it's time for us all to leave London. 1 in 6 people are dead, and if we stay here, we shall surely be dead as well. You see, the plague had spread through Europe for over 300 years because people lived in such close proximity with each other. It's from the bites from an infected flea. Fleas carry the plague. But the problem is that the rats were kind of wandering all over the place. And there were 2 things that really helped this to get worse. The first one is that there's poor sanitation. They didn't have toilets. They didn't have sewers. They didn't have trash cans. People just pooped in a bucket and had all their stuff in a bucket that they used every day. And they just threw it out in the street. The other thing, surprisingly, is that those guys, cats, were declared evil and killed off. And cats, historically, have been a big, supporter of rodent suppression. If you have a cat, you might have had them bring you a present sometimes, something that was dead. And so when all the cats died and stopped killing all the rodents, and all the rodents were around, and then the fleas could get on the rodents, and public enemy number 1, the rat, started taking out 1 in 6 Londoners. So, Isaac had to go home. Goodbye, London. It's been nice knowing you. This time, he, does more than almost any of us would do in a year off. He defines gravity, figured out gravity. He developed calculus to prove gravity, a math that some of us will never even take. He invented at home by himself because people were dying from a rat plague. And he does groundbreaking work in optics, figuring out how light. While Isaac was home, along came the Great Fire of 1666. Because there was a plague roaring through London, there weren't a lot of people around to, fight a fire. And about 80% of the city of London was destroyed. As horrible as this seemed, the people who lived in London were pretty sure that the end was coming. First, this plague killed 16% of the population or something like that, 17%. Then the entire city was burned to a crisp. But the cool thing about fire is that fire can be a renewing force. And when it burned through all the buildings, it also burned all the plague, and it killed all the rats, as gross as that seems. And it made the city kind of clean of the plague so that people could return. So in 1667, I'm back. So you see, class, if you increase the force applied on an object, then you can increase the acceleration. But if you increase the mass of an object, then you decrease the acceleration. Acceleration is measured in meters per second squared, and if you apply a force to it, then you have kilograms times meters per second squared. Hello? Do you understand this? Why are you sleeping? Why are you sleeping? Why, yes, it is true. In this book, I outlined many things, including the laws of optics and gravity, and my 3 laws of motion, which all students around the world, as, Mrs. Mills has told me, now learn as if it is just fact, which of course it's fact because I'm Isaac Newton. So as the years went on, Isaac's life got pretty stinking cool. In 1689, when he was, a ripe old 47 years old, he became a member of Parliament. In 1696, at the ripe old age of 54, he was put in charge of the Royal Mint and made it red. I dub thee, Sir Isaac Newton. Sadly, Isaac's whole life, he remained alone. He never married anybody. As far as everybody knows, he never even dated anybody. He didn't have very many friends. He actually had quite a few enemies. For example, after Robert Hooke died in 1703, there are a lot of people who say that Isaac Newton took it upon himself to try to erase all memory of Robert Hooke. For example, there's not a real picture of Robert Hooke that actually exists that anybody knows of as existing. So that image in the background is the best artist creation of the records that people have of physical descriptions of Robert Hooke, because his portrait mysteriously disappeared after he died, as did many of his publications and works. Many say because Isaac Newton, as one of the influential people of the Royal Mint, tried to make it so. So he wasn't a super enjoyable dude. There is an instance of somebody saying that the only time Isaac ever actually laughed was when somebody asked him why anybody would ever study Euclid, to which he said, "Nah, nah." Although he never married and never had children. He did have one family member, his loving niece, who looked after him until his death in 1927. Isaac Newton lived on in all of our minds and memories to be known as the man who figured out motion. The end.